John, here's a question in our Ask John and Martha mailbag from Bob in Memphis that really brings back some nostalgia. Bob wants to know, what airplane did you learn to fly in?
Well, Bob, that sure does bring back some great memories. My first flying lessons were while I was in high school, and I was learning in a two-place tube and fabric tailwheel airplane called an Aranca Champ. That's what I soloed in. So the Cherokee 140 that Martha and I purchased together earlier in our marriage really was a big step up. It was a four-place, all-metal, tricycle gear, low-wing, instrument-capable airplane. To us, the essence of what a modern airplane should be.
My introduction to general aviation flying was as a third class or lower citizen. John had a friend who would occasionally offer him rides in an old Piper Pacer, also a tube and fabric tailwheel airplane, and John never turned down those offers. John would ask me to go along, and I wasn't about to turn John down. It apparently never occurred to John that I wouldn't be thrilled to ride along alone and cold in the back seat, where whatever warmth the heater did put out never reached me. I couldn't hear the overhead speaker, and the airplane looked and smelled old. A few years after we married, when John and I looked for an airplane to learn to fly in together, we bought that Cherokee 140, November 7-5, 9er Romeo. It was new, only 2 years old. It had a good heater. It had a fancy instrument panel, compared to the Pacer anyway, and a radio I could actually understand. And it looked and felt solid and reliable. More important to me, though, was now I was in the front seat and I was in control. Being in the front seat totally changed my perception of flying. Now I was in command of a traveling machine that would take me to new and exciting places whenever I wanted to go.
Well, to Martha and me, that Cherokee was far more than just a step up in the flying machine we were using. It was a complete change in our lifestyle. We had already realized that traveling and flying were going to be an important part of our lives. It was just a case of making it happen.
That Cherokee fit our vision perfectly. We embraced learning to fly in it with full enthusiasm. We learned everything we could as quickly as we could. When the ink was hardly dry on our private pilot certificates, we flew our Cherokee from our Indiana home to Florida and then to the Bahamas.
On our way home to Indiana, we made a big detour to the west and made it all the way out to California before we went home again. And as soon as possible, we used the Cherokee to get our instrument readings. The Cherokee and flying became the centerpiece of our lives. It was our travel machine and our recreation. It launched us on a full life of passion for flying that has never abated.
I loved that feeling of being in control, and I loved the airplane that introduced me to it, and I loved that its registration number ended in R for romance.
And I learned just how priceless Martha could be.